Hello, consider me your menopause godmother. I'm here to guide you through the various menopausal stages. Wherever you are in the process, I have been there in the same vicinity. I'm here to help you to see that menopause and midlife can be a positive experience. Often the positive doesn't reveal itself until much later. And I can't promise that it'll be easy. Just promising that whatever you're going through is an opportunity to make upgrades in your life path. This is the time to reflect, if ever there was one. So you're in menopause. You're not the same as you were. In many ways, you're even better. Menopause is your emotional evolutionary graduation. Besides bringing transformative physical, emotional, and mental life-altering changes, menopause offers an invitation to evolve spiritually. How you handle this time can change your future. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just showing you that this is a very big moment, whether that moment takes 5 years or 20 years. It's important. My name is Mary Fran Korb, a relationship rejuvenator coach for midlife. As you can see, menopause was a long, long time ago for me. But it was the best of times, and it had serious challenges. For me, it was a metamorphosis and changed the direction of my life. Menopause was the shot that fired me into a whole new world. Those hormone shifts took me from being a quiet, easygoing, agreeable lady to a more daring, self-determined woman, unwilling to take any guff. I no longer put up with lack of respect. In early menopause, one day, I left my youth director career of 12 years. And the next day, I left my 22-year marriage. Oh yeah, it needed to happen. So don't get scared that it's going to happen to you. Whatever goes within your life is what is important for your life. However, I'm just showing you that wild things can happen and you'll be able to handle it. So I can't be sure whether it was just the hormones or it was about being at midlife. The two overlap so much. But I do know that menopause physical symptoms ricochets into emotional shifts. A new identity comes forth that leads to a fresh way of thinking. And if you see any of this in your life, just put "I agree" in the comment below. When the estrogen took a hike, I started to question everything. What did I want for my future? I already knew what it would be if I didn't change. Did I want the second chapter to go as the first? Not for me, and probably not for anybody. I can't imagine. But the question brought a mind shift. And the fact that a few decades have gone by makes you think of what to do with the time that's left. The invitation that menopause is spiritually takes on a metamorphosis that rivals the butterfly and its physical changes. The caterpillar doesn't change with ease. It takes time as the caterpillar dissolves into mush. and transforms into a totally different expression. Menopause can be like that. In this second stage of life, it is a holy time that affects you physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Whether you go through a lot or a few changes, you are still going through a menopausal metamorphosis. So embrace it. Whether you like it or not, you have to change at menopause. Your life situation often changes. Your body changes, and that affects you mentally and emotionally. You start thinking differently about those physical changes, yourself and your life situation, and you have different emotions about yourself because of the physical and mental changes. You have some control over managing those first three. For instance, the physical. Menopause is a signal that your body's fertility ability is gone. Or in perimenopausal, you know it's going. So you better be thinking of what you want for the future. What will you pack with you? What will you leave behind? What needs to be tweaked? Some parts of menopause can be challenging, and you're up to it. It's all meant for good. It helps to know just what is happening. It goes beyond the physical level. This time of life is sacred. And the word sacred, the two letters, the S and the C, the A and the C, if you turn them around, you have the word scared. So ask yourself, do you want to have the sacred or the scared? I know what you want. Let's look more closely at the four areas. First, the physical, because that gets our attention. When I grew up back in the Stone Age, the word menopause was used by males to shame you for being a female. Of course, not all males, but you would run into this. You know, I did as a young, even teenager. Um, I was told that someday we were all going to go through this mortifying time as a woman, and that was awful physically and emotionally, and left without purpose in life. You'd be left with no dignity. Of course, having a period was also embarrassing back then. Everything natural had to be hidden, which means it was unacceptable. If that wasn't enough, you couldn't do anything about nature's ways. My mother told me that doctors told all the women in her generation that their symptoms, their menopausal symptoms, were all in their head. That's because doctors didn't know what to do. And so they just made the women wrong for having the symptoms or asking for help. Fortunately, we're not there now. The physical changes are the outward symbol that your body is changing. Why is it okay that it's changing? Do you really want to worry about pregnancy any later in life? Who'd be available to babysit your grandchildren if you could still procreate? Fortunately, the female body wasn't made for that. Can you have this sacred with physical pain and discomfort? Yes, yes, you can. Some of you remember childbirth, all fun and games. Not for most of us. Then again, some people go through giving birth with relative speed and effortlessness, and some women go through menopause with ease. Most of us don't, though. But we all survive. You'll be fine. Difficult roads can lead to beautiful destinations. I saw that on Facebook. There are medicines and supplements that are much better now than what women had decades ago. You have it better than all those women my age and before me. Think of women all through history. Oh my goodness. The important thing about menopause is what it means to you. It could depress you because it means the end of childbearing. And it could liberate you because it's the end of childbearing. It could mean freedom from periods. It can mean that now you're a blooming goddess in your own right. What I hope it means to you is that you have evolved. You have stepped into the path of you being a wise woman. You're not a caterpillar. You are an evolved being with your own purpose to fulfill your mission beyond childbearing and raising, which is wonderful while it's there. You're now a butterfly inwardly. Your actions are more likely to be transformed. Right now, if you're in perimenopause or menopause, you are coming into your own more quickly than at any other time in your life. So much change can lead to so much growth. For me, the physical symptoms were manageable. I was lucky. I didn't have hot flashes, which are sometimes called power surges. I like that. I did have extreme night sweats, but let's examine other areas. Where menopause affected me even more were with emotional symptoms. What I hadn't dealt with showed up then at menopause as a serious problem. My remaining hormones weren't willing to tolerate what I had endured before. When I took action, I wasn't sure who I was anymore. By questioning everything at this turning point, I made new choices. I thought possibility thoughts, which led to experiencing fresh feelings. Menopause comes at a time when women are in the process of being an empty nester. It's also a time when women are done with being overlooked at their career. So do an inventory. What is it that you have been unwilling to face? What no longer works for you? What do you want to live? How do you want to live your second phase? You likely will have more motivation to act now. Maybe it is that your spirit knows you are evolving physically. It's like moving into a new house that's suitable for a new life chapter. You can go back to the old, you cannot go back to the old house. That's your mind, body, and emotions. Your spirit gives you the urge to emotionally evolve now. That way you don't take with you the old baggage. Some people do take the old baggage, but it doesn't serve them and just slows them down. Where I wasn't standing up for myself, I suddenly began to during menopause. Or was it midlife? It's hard to tell. After a year of night sweats, I gave my 2 weeks' notice to my employer. And the next day, with compassion, I told my husband I was leaving. What? You're surprised? I was too. I didn't see it coming, really. Yet I knew then it was a necessary change. I didn't sit down and plan anything. Circumstances happened, and I decided differently than I would have done at a pre-perimenopausal stage. Really? Was it fun? No. But I moved ahead, listening to my intuition. I began to see my way through the changes of finding another job, finding a place to live, etc., etc. Things fell into place. What I found was I was a lot more emotionally strong than I knew. I began to realize I had needs for greater freedom. I started thinking with greater possibility. What I got was that I had a mission and that only I could fulfill. You know what? It all turned out after all. Don't you be afraid that you'll go through such a change. Many women breeze through menopause. My story is an extreme example of having to transform myself. And yet, I'm not sorry about anything. Another aspect of menopause is brain change. Just yesterday, I heard gynecologist Dr. Jennifer Ashton, reveal that PET scans have proven that there are changes to the brain of a menopausal woman. Now, a skin cream can deliver estrogen to help. I'm not sure, about this. Is it a ploy to get women to buy another product or a prescription? Or, or is it really an advance? I wouldn't know because I haven't tried it. But it's interesting because I do connect the emotional changes and the mind changes and the emotional changes that I went through at that time with the physical change. So, because actually, um, the the lack of hormones does something really to them, affects the mind and the body and the feelings. So, but uh, now for the record, I'm actually for anything that can ease symptoms, like natural hormone replacement. Um, but now brain change isn't the same thing as mental change. By that I mean how we think about ourselves and our life at menopause. It can go whatever direction your thoughts go. The glorious thing is the spiritual part. What is changing with your body, your thoughts, and your feelings? What thoughts are causing different feelings? What inner and outer changes will you make? What spiritual aid will help you? What spiritual quality is needed to take you through this metamorphosis? The spiritual qualities I needed most to develop came to me. Having no roadmap, I had to listen to my intuition, which was a bit unfamiliar to me. I didn't rely on it. I relied on what my mind could tell me. I had done what I knew in my life, leaving a job and a husband, and I had to do it. And I did it I did it all with peace. But I didn't automatically know what to do next. My conscious mind couldn't see around the corner, and it wanted to know now what to do. That didn't help. It didn't help, and it didn't happen. Learning to live in the land of not knowing was new. Trusting the universe was not something I instinctively knew how to do. Intuition gave me information on a need to know basis. Learning to take one step at a time, I had to hear the inner directions by being open to what showed up. That led to having to develop patience, which was really hard for me. Yet the universe had my back every step of the way. For example, my next chapter, after leaving my job and my husband, I found my mission was to support women empty nesters. They want help in creating a plan for midlife. Some want a deeper relationship with their significant other. Because at midlife, things change. When children aren't home anymore, the relationship between husband and wife changes. Then, after a few years apart from my husband, he took antidepressants that made all the difference in our relationship. He and I reunited and are happier than we ever could have been had we stayed together as we were. He got help that would not have happened if I had let him stall on handling his mental health. Actually, I wrote a book about our relationship, and it's called Thriving in Partnership Beyond Struggle, a love story. It isn't about the outcome either. I made changes and I didn't look back. I had no regrets, no angst. I followed my intuition, and that cannot lead you wrong. Everyone is different. Not everyone has a partnership problem at menopause. Thank heavens for that. Yet, whatever your life path is at menopause, there is likely something you don't want to take into the next phase of life. This is the perfect time to rethink what is right for you going forward. It might not look perfect at the moment, but when you look back, you see the hormone changes brought some positive changes in your life. Pay attention to the biggest possible difference now. Sometimes we miss seeing the benefits because we're sad that there are challenges too. If you are in menopause or perimenopause, you will benefit from an easy inventory to help you know your present self. Ask yourself even more questions than what I put on the list. I'll help. It'll help you plan for the future. I have notes here because I'm really a writer and not so much a speaker. There is a link below the video that you can get it today. And if you're postmenopausal and you know someone who could use an inventory because you're beyond that, check it out and give it away. Put in the comments any takeaway for you in my talk. Thanks to Jackie Dickens Walker for this visionary forum. Thank you for listening and many blessings.